Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Kim of Folk and Fashion Dolls. I've been a 40-year collector of all kinds of dolls from the 20th century. Today I want to talk about actually giving a message to resellers about the Madame Alexander dolls. Okay, so if you're lucky enough, if you go to a estate sale, thrift store, you'll be lucky enough to find this little blue box. A blue box. Okay? It may not have the name on it, especially from the 1980s, because the ink they used came off very easily. This was one of my original dolls, and so I put a P and number 554 to identify it as Philippines. Okay, so and when it came in the 80s, they did not use the pink paper. Okay, in the 70s and 80s, they didn't reintroduce it until, I don't know, late 80s, 90s. But this is how the dolls came. Okay, what I have done with all my dolls, which was basically against all advice back then, is I have kept my doll in a plastic bag. Just wrapped in a plastic bag and put away in its box. Okay, I haven't taken this doll out. Okay, or maybe, let me backtrack. Maybe you will find this doll loose. I mean, when I mean loose is without a box, without a wrist tag. Okay, they're very easy to identify because almost all Alexander dolls made since the 1950s will have the name of the doll on what we call a clothing tag. Okay, only in the mid-90s and later did they start putting it underneath the back of the dress. So you can readily identify this as a doll representing the country Philippines. And that is part of what we call the Madame Alexander International Doll line. Okay, these dolls seem to be a dime a dozen because she introduced the 8-inch international dolls in 1961, and only by 1972 did she have 38 different countries represented. And basically they were issued in the same costume with minor variations in print until 1984. So that's almost a 15 to 20 year period for a lot of these original 38 dolls. So that's why you see so much France in the yellow and black and white outfit. Spanish with the red and black, because they were issued year after year in the same outfit. But they were brand new dolls. Okay, what's really important is to just, if it comes with a hang tag, you can see the date. These aren't copyright dates. These are, even though it says copyright 1986, this is the copyright of the booklet. So this tells you that this doll was issued in 1986. Okay, it's on the inside cover, lower left-hand corner. You might see the date, 1986. Okay, so I wish sellers, when they find these dolls, would just put the date, because some of us, that have been collecting dolls, we collect certain countries for certain years. Maybe it's the year we traveled there. Maybe it's a certain year that the doll painting we like the best. Like, I, for one, love dolls from 1973. It was a transition year from the bent knee dolls to the straight leg dolls, but it was the facial painting that was done that I just love. And they're very small, petite dolls, and I will at some point display that, show you that doll. So, yeah, you know, loose, without a box, without the hang tag or wrist tag, as we call it. These are going, even mint in the box. They're not selling more than $10. Okay, and it's a shame because this doll was issued in 19, I believe, only 2 years, 85 to 86, 86 to 87. I don't have my note. I have the notes. So that's why oh, and another thing to look for when you're buying these dolls is look at the white collar and especially the sleeves. It should be white, okay, and that'll tell you it's mint. It hasn't been displayed, it hasn't been exposed to cigarette smoke or cooking smoke. Chicken grease, fried chicken leaves the same yellow residue on dolls that cigarette smoke does. So does propane gas, propane heaters. Okay, now the reason I have her on a stand is because I just found her unstrung. I had never removed her. I had never displayed her. Okay, if you notice the wrist tag, I don't know if you can notice, there are spots on this wrist tag, but I clearly remember I bought this collection from someone and I asked, and all her wrist tag, even though her dolls were clearly mint, they all had these spots on them. So I asked about that, and she just said something about, well, I live near the ocean, and I think it has something to do with, you know, the salt air or something getting into the boxes. I don't know. But even though that has spots on it, you can see the sleeves are white. You know, there doesn't seem to be any evidence of her being displayed. Okay, so that's all I am asking is that resellers, please, you're going to find these dolls with their hang tags, because collectors, even though they may have lost their box, or maybe sellers know that the box is extra weight, and or the box may not be in good condition, just look on the inside cover and see what the date is and list it. Philippines, 1986. And you can do a Google search for the style number. I'm sure a lot of examples will come up because this was, you know, this was well produced. You know, numerous dolls were produced. And, but they still are collectible. You know, okay, so I purchased this sometime in the late 80s, like I said. Oh, and also I want to say about restringing. I will restring her, but I'm going to use 2mm thread, that elastic thread that I need to order. Okay, these are what you get from dolls parts. This is for the 8-inch doll. Now, you have to stretch this from the head to the legs, and it's very thick. And dolls that I have restrung with this, this vinyl, it's made of vinyl, it's not a rubber band. It's made of vinyl, and vinyl just doesn't last. So, in fact, that's what she looks like she's strung with. Okay, and then the next doll I want to show you, I'm still a collector. I just got this today. This is a Madame Alexander, China. She was issued as China, called the Little Empress. Okay, this is actually her neck muff. I took it off because, you know, I just think she's so cute. And she was made 1996, 97 only. And I didn't purchase her brand new because by then, these dolls were retailing at $69.95. So I always liked her, and I just happened to catch her on eBay for a decent price. She doesn't have a box. She doesn't have a hang tag. But I just love the doll. And you know, I paid $25 for her. To me, it's worth it. Okay, and the ironic thing is, it took me forever to find the dress tag. Now, it's kind of known that by 1995, most of the Alexander dolls, just like every other doll and toy company in the U.S., were being made in China. But when you look at the dress tag, it says China, Madame Alexander, and it says made in the USA. So, yes, the Madame Alexander Doll Company still had a factory in Harlem, New York, which didn't close until 2011. So technically the doll bodies may be from China, but they still had employees doing the facial painting, putting on the wigs, and sewing the clothes. So I guess that's why they were able to say that it's made in the USA. If the doll came from China totally dressed like this, then I think they had to say made in China, which they did which they started to do eventually and now, you know, all dolls are made in China. But look at these cute little red shoes. And this is the beginning of the new shoes with the thick white bottom. And that's another thing. Look at the bottom of the shoes. If they're scuffed up, chances are the doll was displayed. You know, it's hard to tell. She doesn't have any white material on her, whether she was exposed to anything. I did see some red bleeding, and which is very, she wears, instead of the usual underwear, she wears a red bodysuit, leotards, all one piece, leotards and top. And I see some of the red is starting to leach onto the plastic, which is kind of expected with these dolls. I'm sure Magic Eraser might be able to take it off if somebody wants the doll body eventually. Okay, so, but that's what I want to show you is that, you know, you can, for collectors, we can still get bargains out there. Especially look for rare prints. Now, I do hope to put out a series on the Alexander dolls. Because by 2000, over 90 countries were represented. But within those countries, it was different provinces. So you're talking, I'm categorizing, I'm chronicling them and putting them in alphabetical order. So that I'm already up to over 200 dolls, and I just completed the letter M countries. So I hope to put out a series that will chronicle them, especially to show you the different molds and different faces, the materials used. And a good rule of thumb is the older the doll, the better the quality of the clothing. So there's nothing, you know, wrong with hiding that this doll was made in 1972. Okay, chances are it's going to be much better quality material than the same doll issued in 1982. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you watch for my further videos on Madame Alexander dolls and dolls in general. As you can see, I don't know if you can see in the background, but I do collect a lot of dolls. And if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to ask. And I hope that you like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.